Of his crash is third, 6 points out of the lead. Championship pressure, you bet. There's a bunch of it.
Tons and tons and tons. I don't think you can measure it at this point. 3 races to go, 6 points. We have never had this late in the season this type of a championship run, Dave.
And tonight we have rain falling on Texas Stadium as the field prepare for 25 laps of action on what will now be a very, very slippery Texas Stadium circuit. The sign is down, the gate is up, and we're just about ready to go. We're underway. Charge to turn 1. Great start for Bradshaw. Look out, guys. It's slick out there. Oh, Guy Cooper is on the ground. Ronnie Tishner is on the ground. A pair of Suzuki's out early here. They'll scramble to get back into action. Meanwhile, up front, Bradshaw takes the lead. Jeff Ward, number 6, into second. Not a great start for number 1, Jean-Michel Bale, but again, he found that opening and got to third. Stanton's back at about 8th or 10th.
Stanton is the one with trouble right now. He's going to have to work his way through some slower riders. He's going to have to do it on this slippery track that, if this rain continues, Dave, is going to get slicker and slicker, and worse than that, the mud is going to collect on the motorcycles. It's going to be a real problem.
Bradshaw the leader, Ward is second, Bale is third. 2 of the top 3 in the standings are in the top 3 on the racetrack. Stanton, the big loser, moved by Bale inside. Can he get around Jeff Ward? Ward hangs on. This could be Jeff Ward's last Supercross race. He surrenders to the fastest man in the game, Jean-Michel Bale.
Well, the reason it's his last race, or possibly his last race, is a shoulder injury, and that could be the problem out there right now. Difficult to hold on to the motorcycle.
Number 6, Ward, twice a champion in this series, will go in for surgery perhaps as early as this next week. He wants to be fit for the 500 national season. That'll be his last championship effort before motocross retirement. He says he thinks he can go out and win it. His young teammate, Jeff Matasevich, pursued by another Kawasaki, and that is Mike Kudrowski. And they've got themselves a good battle going here for 4th and 5th. Here comes Kudrowski up alongside for a moment. Matasevich holds on to the spot.
Matasevich, with that leg that was injured at the early part of the season, has really, Dave, now shown signs of full recuperation. He has not only been tough in the early going, but he's been holding on, and he's showing signs of aggression, much more aggressive than he was earlier in the ball game. He just refuses to let Kudrowski around him.
Just a glimpse there of number 15, Brian Swink. He rides 6th in the race, getting that 250 experience that he said repeatedly is so valuable. And you heard Jeremy McGrath alluding to the fact that he'd like to meet Swink in the series finale. The 125 shootout isn't going to happen because Swink's going to stay in the 250 class. And number 15 is definitely learning his 250 lessons as he goes after those 2 Kawasaki's running 4th and 5th. Bale is second, Ward is third, and this is the battle for 4th. Jeff Matasevich pursued by Mike Kudrowski. You'll get glimpses of Brian Swink in the middle of that battle. This is the leader. Oh, and Bradshaw's in trouble. He's on the ground. Bradshaw catches the clutch, keeps it running. There goes Bale into the lead. Another untimely crash for Damon Bradshaw. What a break for Jean-Michel Bale. Let's take another look at how it happened.
Dave, earlier you mentioned the rain coming through that hole in Texas Stadium would make it slippery, and look at this. He comes around the corner. He gave it just a little too much throttle. He was not able to bring it back, and he couldn't hold the motorcycle upright. He held on to second place. I think he's thankful for that.
Meanwhile, the battle for 4th heats up. Here is Kudrowski making a move on Matasevich. Matasevich up off the pegs for a moment. Give Kudrowski the spot. In the space of half a lap, 1st and 2nd and 4th and 5th positions have been exchanged here. A very competitive Dallas Supercross thus far, in part because of the weather. Here is Swink going to work on Matasevich, and he may get himself into the top 5.
Almost. Matasevich holds on to that 5th spot. We're looking at Kawasaki's running 5, 4, and 3. That in itself could be an interesting battle if they hook up.
Swink has kept a lot of pressure on these guys, but has not yet been better than 6th. The youngster from Michigan, who has already wrapped up the Eastern Region Championship, trying to make a mark on the 250 class and doing very well here this evening. You see how close they are to 4th place number 3, Mike Kudrowski. Remember, Bale is comfortably out front. Bradshaw solidly in second after that crash and position swap. And Jeff Stanton is somewhere back behind this battle. Here is the leader, Bale. Here is Stanton coming through the traffic from a bad start. He's currently 7th on the racetrack. We talked to him before the race about the pressure that the 3 championship contenders are feeling coming into Dallas.
Well, Bale's got the pressure. He's leading. He's out front, so he's got the pressure to stay there. And, you know, Damon's been the hero all along, so he's got the most amount of pressure. He's got the pressure to come back and try to prove to everybody that he can beat Team Honda. He's had a numerous number of huge point leads and has fallen on his head, so he's probably got the most to prove out of all of us. I'm just sitting in second, just waiting for those guys to do whatever they're going to do, and I'm going to take advantage of it and win these last few races.
He's not going to win from sixth tonight. He's going to have to gas things up. You can bet his mechanic is signaling him to get to the front. Meanwhile, up front, it is Bale and Bradshaw who have swapped that spot by virtue of a Bradshaw crash.
Dave, remember what we talked about at the outset of the program, the consistency that brought Stanton and Bale to where they are, the aggressiveness that has kept Bradshaw alive throughout the series. And now we're looking at riders that have to maybe depart from what they like. Stanton trying to come up, and here's a shot at Stanton. Stanton has to be overly aggressive now because he needs the points. Jean-Michel Bale, on the other hand, out front, is starting to pull away from Damon Bradshaw, so maybe he's turning aggressive also. We could be looking at a flip-flop here.
I got to think Stanton is a huge disappointment tonight. I mean, he cannot afford to run 7th place. I don't care how slick it is if he wants to win this championship.
Absolutely not. He needs to be on the gas, and he has not exhibited that so far. He seems content picking off riders at a rather casual pace, in my opinion. Jeff Stanton should be moving through the pack a lot faster, a lot harder than he is right now.
Meanwhile, his championship rivals run 1-2. We'll be back right after this. And we pick up the closest race on the track. It is for third. Number 6, Jeff Ward, demonstrating pretty fair staying power compared to what we've seen thus far this year. Under pressure from Mike Kedrowski, and Kedrowski's got the inside line, and I don't think Ward's going to be any match for that. The battle of the Kawasaki teammates, and they swapped the spot. Ward's been pretty salty here tonight, Larry.
Well, he has. As long as he runs up front, Dave, everything seems to be all right. But as soon as something like this happens, he gets past. He has been fading all year long. Mike Kedrowski doing an excellent job. His teammate getting out in front of him, holding down that number 3 slot. That's who we're watching. But Ward is the guy in question. Dave, you know, he has said, I'm out of here, I'm gone, this is my last year, and I think that he begins to believe it now, and he's just not riding as hard as he could be at this point.
6th and 7th place tightens up. The youngster Swink looking over his shoulder and sees an awful lot of Jeff Stanton right there. I'll bet Swink's as surprised as anybody to have Jeff Stanton behind him tonight. I don't think anybody expected to see Jeff deliver this badly in such a critical event.
And again, I want to point out, as you mentioned, that Stanton is not being aggressive. He's had a couple of opportunities to chop Swink off, to do a block pass, to get by him, and he's not taking advantage of it, Dave. It's like he seems content to be where he is. He's riding too cautiously.
1st and 2nd place are worth 25 and 23 points, respectively. If you're stuck back there in 7th, you're going to get out of here with 14 points, and that means Stanton's got to get the gas on. Swink performing very, very effectively here on the 250. He's destined for this class next year, and he's gaining some valuable experience here running with the front runners. They are already running up into lap traffic there as they put the Texan Dennis Hawthorne behind them. Swink running 6th, and Stanton stuck back in 7th spot. We've not seen Jean-Michel Bale for a while. He is up front and setting sail, running away to what looks like it could be his 4th win of the season.
Absolutely, and a lengthening of the point lead. He currently has 2 points over Stanton. He has 4 more over Bradshaw, a total of 6. He's going to do nothing but put more points between himself and the rest of the field unless something happens here.
Larry Ward is closing up on these two and trying to get a piece of that action. Meanwhile, here's Ward, the other Ward, Jeff Ward, fading into the clutches now of Jeff Matasevich. Again, the teammate battle, and just what you predicted. Once passed, Ward starts to back up.
He's just not comfortable tangling with these guys, and I don't blame him. You know, that guy's put in a ton of years, and he deserves this farewell tour, the tributes that have been paid to him. But he's not riding like Jeff Ward.
There is the pass for 4th spot. Give it to Matasevich, and note that Jeff Ward has already signed a deal to drive one of Norm Turley's Indy Lights cars next year, so his racing future is certainly secure. Matasevich back from the injury, showing strength here this evening as he moves up to 4th spot. Can he run down his young teammate Mike Kedrowski? Meanwhile, you got a glimpse of Swink there closing up, and I expect that probably Ward is going to quickly feel the pressure. Yeah, here he comes. This is Swink, and Stanton should be right behind him, and they're both going to get by in one move, it looks like. Swink opens the door, Stanton squirts right through.
I guarantee you 1 year ago that never would have happened. There'd have been a lot of metal clashing and bouncing off each other before you passed Jeff Ward that easily.
Now now the battle for 5th and 6th. And again, it remains a terrible, terrible problem for Jeff Stanton. If he settles for this kind of finish tonight, this one race could cost him a shot at the championship. Only 2 more to go for points after this.
You know, he needs to make something happen, and all he's doing is following, and there is no way that you can let those guys run away this way without making an attempt if you want to be the champion. I don't know what's running through Stanton's mind, but he should be up there letting it hang out, knocking on the door. There are only 2 races left, and he cannot afford to finish this far back.
Whoa, and look at that. Swink hit the top of that jump with the cases. Cased it, as they say in Supercross, and that opens the door for Stanton. He goes inside the top 5. We'll be right back. Second place man, winner of 7 races this season, Damon Bradshaw, trying to catch number 1, Jean-Michel Bale. He had Bale in second spot early in the race. Bradshaw slipped down, let the lead get away. If Bale wins tonight, he's going to be a tough cat to beat in the championship standings, but Bradshaw is closing, and Brian Lunas is counting the seconds here.
I guess he's counting the seconds, and so is the rest of the Yamaha camp. We go back to that crash, Dave, and he had fallen considerably off the pace. He has turned it up, turned the wick up considerably the last few laps.
The sign from Brian Lunas says the pace is good. What does he mean?
That would indicate to me that Bradshaw is running at a good speed, pace good, and it's Bale that is slowing the pace, so Bradshaw's catching him.
And as we check the interval from first to second, let's see just how far back Damon Bradshaw is. It's the length of a straightaway on the racetrack. It's under 3.5 seconds, and Bale is suddenly under some pressure. He's had a cakewalk here since Damon fell off in the early laps. You see him looking back over his shoulder to see what the interval is. Bale hit a ton on the top of that jump. I can't believe he kept the motorcycle upright. That hurt to watch. Bradshaw will be right there. A huge mistake for Jean-Michel Bale.
Dave, he was completely off the motorcycle. His left leg was on the right side of the bike.
Damon Bradshaw is right on Jean-Michel Bale's rear wheel, and I'm not sure Bale's going to have anything for him here. Bradshaw can taste blood. Bale is a hurting puppy. There's the swap of the lead. Damon Bradshaw picks himself up off the ground to regain the lead at Texas Stadium on a huge bobble by Jean-Michel Bale. Let's go back and take another look at what happened to Bale.
Jean-Michel Bale has to be riding hurt right now, Dave. The wind is completely gone from him. Can he recover? Watch this. Watch when he comes down. Look at this. He knows he's going to hit, and wham, he slides forward. Oh, look at that, off the motorcycle. I cannot believe the composure of that man in that situation to be able to hold on to the bike and still hold on to that number 2 spot. Oh, does he hurt.
It was a spectacular save. He's looked back over his shoulder a couple of times. He wants to know where third place is. He knows he can't run with Bradshaw. Damon is healthy. Jean-Michel is hurt. Well, and there's a little bobble by Bradshaw. These guys are really riding out on the razor edge of traction here tonight on this slippery Dallas track. You see the interval stretching. Bale at this point is just hoping to preserve second place.
What we're also preserving, Dave, is the points chase right down to the wire. The guys that are involved in this tremendously tight battle are running up front, with the exception of Stanton. He's the odd man out right now.
Well, if Bale can preserve a second-place finish here, he can actually hold on to the championship point lead with just 2 races remaining. And given the hit that he took a lap ago, I have to believe that he would be very, very content with that right now. Bale, really spectacular here in saving that Honda from what for any lesser rider would certainly have been a magnificent crash. Instead, he has managed to hang on to the second spot. You can see the rain. It has been a light rain throughout most of this main event. It has caused the track to be a little bit slippery. We haven't seen that buildup of mud on the bikes that we talked about, but Bale's having trouble seeing, and there you see him throw the goggles away.
I don't understand that move. Although they're not getting a great amount of mud or debris thrown back in their face, it only takes just a little bit. So unless he had trouble with his tear-off system on the goggles, I do not understand why he would throw them away, unless he's in a lot of pain, Dave, and he thinks that getting rid of the goggles will ease that pain.
Well, as hard as he hit, I'm surprised he didn't shake those goggles right off. We'll be back with the finish right after this. Dallas Mike Kudrowski, the third-place man, will try to make a late race run at the wounded Jean-Michel Bale and perhaps not only improve his own lot in life, but also knock Bale out of the championship point lead. The laps are winding down here. Kudrowski has shed his Kawasaki pursuers and is now off all alone in third. I don't think it's close enough to make the move.
No.
Up front, the white flag flies for Damon Bradshaw.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Jeff Stanton has moved into the number 4 position. So ironically, we came into this race with a 6-point gap between first, second, and third, and we're going to leave. Difference being Jeff Stanton slid from second down to third. If they stay, Dave, the way they are right now.
Well, they're into the final lap, and I think the only thing that could befall one of the front runners now would be another one of those slick crash tip overs that we saw Damon Bradshaw suffer early on. If you've just joined us, Bradshaw has picked himself up off the ground to win the race over Jean-Michel Bale, who by every standard of Supercross should have been on the ground, and saved it miraculously.
No wonder he's going road racing. You don't have to look forward to something like that happening on the pavement.
All right, up and over for a record-tying 8th win of the 1992 season. Damon Bradshaw wins it. Bale happy to survive in second. Holds on to the series point lead. Kedrowski collects third. Stanton moves up to 4th.